Welcome into Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com. How you doing? Hey, nice little Friday, relaxing out here. Thank you guys for joining me today. And I just wanted to talk to the people overall about some NFL action and, what's going on out here in these certain times, because I do have about an hour before I have to get on the radio on Sirius XM channel 204 for my night show, both myself and Kevin in Play Sports tonight. But I do want to talk some NFL football, and I'm happy that you guys are here. I broadcast on a couple different things: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and also on Twitter. So I do have my separate little laptop up here on the bottom where I can read just about every comment from everywhere you guys are chiming in at. So welcome in, and we'll have some fun talking about this. I just wanted to come on because we don't have the Monday show on SBR. Was not here this week, specifically on YouTube, because we're having issues with the YouTube channel. But there also is going to be no more Thursday show on SBR for NFL, which is our key show. I know a lot of people watch that because that's, at the end of the week. Injury reports are coming out. You're closer to Sunday. You want to get that feel before Sunday's closing line show. So I wanted to come up on here and just talk about some of the things going on in the NFL now that it's a Friday, because we have the injury reports out, some things starting to come into focus, weather conditions, everything around there. Welcome in. I see you guys all in there. Awesome stuff here. Yeah, Rufy, what is Twitch? Just another broadcast service. Usually it's for gamers, but on StreamYard, if you have the one service, it allows you to broadcast like 4 or 5 different ways. I even on my RightWager.com have the live broadcast going on there as well. And if you guys haven't seen Right Wager out there, I still like to update it with some day-to-day things that we're doing here, shows that I have just to try to check in. But there's no picks on there because I do everything for free now. And as I've always told you guys, life's been pretty good to me so far, particularly in the content business, where I just like to share my information. I don't need any extra money on that, and I want everybody to certainly eat the same. But why don't we go over? By the way, on the FanDuel Sportsbook, there's a new section here called Weekly Specials, which we're going to go over before we wrap things up. There are a lot of long shot tickets that are awesome, man, that are really good. And I think we might be able to dive into one because you guys know we found out a nice one on Monday night for that 18-1 ticket that ended up cashing in. $27 bet returned $500 plus, which was fantastic stuff. So we're going to go over a couple of those to end it, but I just want to go over it again. If you guys have any questions out here, because I know on SBR we're doing the shows that they're only being run through Twitter now, and I can't see anybody in the chat box or talk to anybody. It's probably going to be the same thing also, guys. Keep in mind on Sunday for the closing line show. I know a lot of you guys like to reach out, trade information back and forth in the chat box and do all that fun stuff. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case as well sooner than later on here. But any guys, you have any questions, put it out there. If you see the channel up there, I only have a couple hundred subscribers. I don't really do many shows on here, and I haven't done one for quite some time because you guys know I'm all over the place with content, whether it be on, SBR or, I used to do some things for Pub Sports Radio, and now obviously with the Sports Grid Network doing the morning show and the night show. It's nice just to try to fire up the channel again and, wear my own T-shirts and stuff like that and have some fun and just talk some stuff. So why don't we get into it here on the NFL and just go over some topics that I think are important here. And again, I wanted to come on a Friday night because a lot of information comes through on the weather reports, as I said, and also the injury. 451, 452, Cincinnati and Baltimore, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Taking a look at this line, offshore Pinnacle, 6.5 as it opened up. Still sitting at 6.5 here. Now, we also got some updates here on the injuries. Latavius Murray looks like he's not going to go in this game for the Baltimore Ravens, and that is going to be key because that's going to be leaning more on Lamar Jackson. Also, still down wide receiver Sammy Watkins as well. So, is that going to limit the damage? It seems like Baltimore is a one-man band anyway. You're as good as Lamar Jackson is. I think he'll be okay in this game. But when we flip it over to the Cincinnati Bengals side, pretty healthy coming into this game also. Because when you take a look at overall, and what you bring to the table, or should I say what the Cincinnati Bengals bring to the table? Joe Mixon looks like he's another week healthier at the running back position. Samaje Perine now also coming back off of the COVID list, so you have a decent backup running back, but they're really focused in on quarterback with Joe Burrow, throwing to those wide receivers who've done a damn good job. Young wideouts like T. Higgins in his second year. Tyler Boyd, just a mainstay, one of those guys that just moves the chain on third downs. A lot similar to me like a Keenan Allen. And then, of course, Jamar Chase, who's been absolutely electric here as a rookie. Absolutely, absolutely electric here. So, but what you're saying, like, I've been on a couple Cincinnati Bengals team totals over the past few weeks. One, a little bit of hard luck there in that Green Bay Packers game. Just needed a field goal. They had like 19 chances to kick one, kept missing them, celebrating field goals that looked like they were good against the Packers, which weren't good. But then last week, we came back with a really good one on the Cincinnati Bengals and pegged that. But I have to tell you, over-under sitting right now here, and I'm going to check across the board again. Opening up at that 47.5 offshore, 46.5. A lot of outlets also now showing 46s. I got to tell you, man, like I'm really feeling an under in this game. And you know me, I really don't like that all that much. But I do think the Baltimore Ravens have a good offense. But let's also keep in mind, you take a look at the Cincinnati Bengals defense, hasn't been all that bad. I like these Pro Football Focus stats a lot. And Pro Football Focus, after 6 weeks, has the Cincinnati Bengals overall as the 6th highest rated defense in the NFL. Which is, you never really think about that, right? Usually it's the Bengals on offense. We're talking about them being electric or trying to be electric, I should say, with Joe Burrow and those wide receivers. But the defense has done a pretty good job here. But Baltimore on the opposite side, it's Lamar Jackson. He makes everything work. What are we looking at for Lamar this weekend? 60, 70, 80 yards on the ground, maybe a rushing touchdown, throw for 1 or 2 more. But also keep in mind, Tyson Williams probably going to take over the backfield, which, he was electric on opening night, sometimes activated, sometimes not activated. But now that you don't have Latavius Murray, you don't really have that 1-2 punch or that power guy that you have inside the 5-yard line. So more leaning on maybe a Le'Veon Bell or Devontae Freeman in this game. Also, again, Marquise Brown has been very good at wide receiver this year. He's been good. This is one of those steps that you wanted a young wide receiver to take, a good young deep threat. Lamar Jackson's able to get him the football. Rashad Bateman made his NFL debut a short while ago. Looks like he'll be a decent wide receiver in the NFL. But you don't have Sammy Watkins this week, who's down with a hamstring injury. But you also have Mark Andrews, and he's been elevated as well, playing some pretty good football. So, yeah, just, Bengals, Ravens. If I had to take a choice in this game, I probably would take the Ravens at home, man. I just trust the Ravens a little bit more here. The Bengals should be able to move the football, and that's all predicated this weekend on what we're going to get out of Joe Mixon. So if anybody has any comments on that game between the Bengals and the Ravens, I hear you on that. And typically you see that 46 number. Hey, Donnie's looking for a way to angle and probably take that over. Not so fast, right? Not so fast at this time. Looking more of an under type of game. Didn't fire either way. But also I do have, which we're going to go over the game in just a couple minutes, but I know a lot of you guys are watching, maybe watching on the replay. I fired early in the week, and I always put my stuff up on Twitter now too. So when my final card is ready, I'll put all the plays that we can get down on to try to make some money. And I always give you the exact book I got it at, exactly the odds that we have it at, so everybody can eat the same. And if you find a better number out there, sensational. But I get a lot of people asking, like, hey, what happens if this line is a little bit higher? Trust me on this. Even whatever number I give you. And the reason why I bet some of these numbers 90% of the time is to try to keep it off key numbers. My favorite play so far this week that I fired on, and we're going to go over it, we'll cap it together, but it's the New England Patriots, team total 23.5. And that was at BetMGM a couple days ago, but I did check just before the show that we went live on the air. That is still out there. So that 23.5 minus 150 is there. But let's just say, hey, Donnie, I don't have BetMGM. I mean, they're pretty much legal in every single book that you're going to have, whether it be DraftKings, FanDuel, Caesars, and all that. But a couple different books don't offer those alt lines, which I like to play with team totals, because why is the difference here? Let me go to Bet365 right now, and we'll take a look at the Bengals number. The Patriots number. It's 25.5 minus 120. But I'm sitting on the 23.5 at minus 150. Paid a little bit more, but 24 points is very key in the NFL. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So many times these games and these teams will try to get into the mid-20s where you need that late field goal or that late touchdown at 17 to get over the hump. It's a key number, and so I have no issues keeping it that 150 price range to try to keep it under. So I went with that. That's my favorite play of the week. As I said, we're going to cap that a little bit, but getting back to the other point, hey, Donnie, I can only get it at Bet365, 20.5. Trust me, you're going to win more of these games than not, regardless of what the actual price comes out to be. So don't have any frets. Hey, Donnie can get it at 23.5 at minus 150. He paid for it. I don't want to do that. Let me just get the regular number at 25.5. You'll win more of those than you lose, and it'll probably balance out by the end of the football season if you do take a look. Because I did have one game already that if I didn't have it below a key number, I would have taken the loss as opposed to, picking up some money. So I'm still ahead of the game, even though I do take a lot of these at some juicier overall prices. Yeah, TD Crowd, tough divisional game. Don't blame the people for going under. Sometimes they just line up that way, and it's not really going to have any weather conditions in that game either. 61 degrees, 5 mile an hour winds. You'll take that every single day in late October in Baltimore. All right, Carolina and the New York Giants, Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones. Look at this one here, right? Pinnacle opens up at 44 as a total, down to 42.5. Pinnacle opened up that side at minus 2.5 as a favorite to Carolina. They're still roughly there because it's -3 plus 101. But there are threes a lot of the way across the board. FanDuel Sportsbook, that's at 3. DraftKings is at 3. Bet365 is at 3. So, and I agree with it here. Not because I think Carolina is a great football team, because they're not. But Carolina has a better defense. At least Carolina has a semblance of weapons on offense. Daniel Jones, a terrible offensive line. No wide receivers. No Saquon Barkley. Like, what are we expecting here? Now, is this a game that you want to jump in the bed with and say, hey, man, I really like the Carolina Panthers? Probably not. But is there any way that you can fight through the Giants? Or you just say, hey, you know what? I'll go contrarian. That's a key number here at the 3, right? And I say, I'll take the Giants as a home dog in this one. And the Giants didn't look too good as a home dog last week against the Rams. Giants haven't looked, quite frankly, good at all. And also keep in mind, the one game they won against the New Orleans Saints, down double digits in the fourth quarter. Come on, man. They should even have a win at this point right now. But Joe Judge said it's only going to get better at this point. And Carolina's not very good. So maybe you want to get better this week, but also take a look at that total, right? 44, it opens up at Pinnacle. That's now 42.5. FanDuel opened up at 45.5. That's now 42.5. I mean, is anybody out there like really thinking about jumping on this game saying, you know what, this is one of those weeks that these two teams are going to score? Because outside of Sam Darnold running wild over the first couple weeks and moving the football, and oh yeah, you remember who's in the backfield with him? Christian McCaffrey, not going to be back yet. So big downgrade from Christian McCaffrey to Chuba Hubbard, even though he is doing a yeoman's performance out there in the backfield. Yeah, Ruffy Chew, Daniel Jones rushing prop 22.5 makes sense, right? I mean, one extra week outside of the concussion. He got a pretty good pass rush coming to town here with a bad offensive line for the Giants. So you'd figure if the Giants are going to move the football, if this is going to be a close game, Daniel Jones should be able to get to 25 yards. So not a bad look at that point here. Not a bad look at all. 4:55, 4:56, another 1 o'clock game here. The Washington football team with Heineke going to go up to Green Bay and take on Aaron Rodgers. Washington's football team certainly not playing the defense we anticipated them possibly coming into this year. Nasty front seven, not so nasty. Decent back end, not so decent. Giving up a lot of yards through the air. And probably the last quarterback that you want to see on the road is Aaron Rodgers. Now, my question here is this one. Pinnacle opened up this game at 49. Currently sits at 48. FanDuel here in New Jersey, 49.5. Now sits at 47.5. A lot of New Jersey outlets are at 47.5 also. DraftKings, Bet365, and PointsBet. And also the line that we have. Pinnacle opened up this price at a -10. Now sits at a 7.5 here on a Friday. FanDuel, probably opened up a little bit later. We're at a 7. They're now 7.5. But depending, let's just say 8 is the line here, right? So you have some 7.5, some 8s out here. Do you trust Washington to keep this football game close? Now, the reason why I ask that here, the reason why I'm asking that is because if Washington is one of these teams, I talked about this morning on the early line, that I'm waiting on, if that makes sense. And the terminology I used was, if you take a look at Major League Baseball with the Angels, if Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, and Shohei Ohtani were healthy post-August 15th down the stretch. Bad baseball team over the summer, but you can salvage some games with some maybe hitters or hitter props and also particularly team totals on their side. Because you'd say, hey, they stink all year. Here's what their numbers are. But now you get 3 all-star players back. Now, we're not looking at those same caliber players for the Washington football team. But what I would tell you, a healthy offensive line, Taylor Heineke, good arm, willing to make throws, and decent with his feet. Antonio Gibson, good young running back, explosive. And then you had on one side, Curtis Samuel. And on the other side, you had Terry McLaurin. It's not a bad setup for points. It really isn't. It really isn't. But you come into this football game, Terry McLaurin banged up. He's going to go on Sunday. Curtis Samuel, once again, going to miss this football game. Antonio Gibson, worried about his shin. That spiral fracture or whatever you have, hairline fracture in his shin. Each and every week, you see him get dinged up, come out of the football game. So this is one of those teams where you sort of have that perfect storm also. And Adam, I see you saying there, did you drop any other official plays? Not yet. So I'm going through a couple here on these, but the only official one so far is New England. But getting back to the Washington football team, but why it makes sense to maybe not so much this week look for a team total in the future, their defense is bad. If you have a bad defense and a team that's getting lit up on defense, you have to run with the other football teams. You have to score with them there. And I think Taylor Heineke can do that with a full complement of skill position players at wide receiver, tight end, and running back. I just don't know if that's the case yet. Now, you could say, going up to Green Bay, getting 8 points, maybe Washington rises up and plays them close. I understand that. You also have to keep in mind, though, last week at home against the Chiefs, who kept turning the football over, you actually had a lead at the half. You got destroyed in the second half. So I don't know what you're going to get out of Washington this weekend in Green Bay, but it also feels like one of those games where, are we running to the table? Are we really running to the table to take the Green Bay Packers? But also in the pick six we do on the early line, drop one we do one every Friday. My teaser game of the week, we have to pick each a half game of a teaser, is the Green Bay Packers. I would be shocked out here, honestly, if the Green Bay Packers lose this football game outright. I really would. I think they're going to win this football game, but I'm not excited about laying a total or laying a number of the 8. But I do think if I had to make a play on this game with the total, I still would lean towards the over. Because Green Bay's defense is okay. I think Heineke's going to throw the football around. But it's one of those where, boy, you trap yourself and you say, I want to get an over in this game. Look at the Washington football team, right? And you say to yourself, do I really want, like, by the second quarter, could be no Antonio Gibson in the backfield. Could be no Terry McLaurin at wide receiver. Do you want to involve yourself in that, knowing when you come in the game, like, I knew I shouldn't have done that because I knew there was a chance some of these guys would be injured here. It's crazy, man. Yeah, Green Bay's defense is banged up too, which when you take a look at last week, right, they played the Chicago Bears without their 2 starting cornerbacks. You say, all right, this might be a chance for the Bears to get in it. But you still need, as you saw, the weapons to expose a bad secondary. I'm not sure Washington has that yet. Now, if Terry McLaurin is fully healthy, okay, that helps. But who's going to be on the opposite side doing damage? And if your running back is on one leg, what are we going to do with this one here? It's a tough one here. It's a tough one. Yeah, Ruffy Chew, we're going to go over those weekly specials. There's some really good ones here. So stay tuned in a little bit once we wrap this bad boy up. I got a couple eyes on some real deep shots out here that make some sense here. Maybe you can have some fun betting a little bit of money to try to win it. But Washington, Green Bay, Washington too bagged up for me to like. I think Green Bay is the better football team. But again, do you want to lay 8 points? If I had to take a side, probably going to be Green Bay winning at home and covering. But I just think Washington is a few weeks away when we can really dig in and try to make some money on their team totals. One game I do like right here, 459, 460, Atlanta and Miami. Matt Ryan, off a bye week, coming to town to play Miami. Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins. Do they want Tua Tagovailoa anymore? We don't know, right? Trying to get Deshaun Watson, make trades. It's tough, man. Trust me. When you're at work in any environment and the scuttlebutt around you is, hey, they're going to try to replace you at any time, pretty hard to focus on making a sale, doing content, fixing cars or whatever you do on your day-to-day basis when say, hey, man, sooner or later, you're going to get replaced, and it might be sooner than later. Now, let's take a look here in this game. I actually like the Miami Dolphins on the team total, but not ready to fire just yet. Let's take a look at some of these outlets that are posting some numbers. And just so I don't have to, take up all your time and go through, I'm going to go to BetMGM right now, and I'm going to take a look at this Miami Dolphins and Atlanta Falcons game and tell you why I'm leaning more towards the Miami Dolphins team total and the Miami Dolphins to actually win this game as a slight dog. All right, so let's take a look. Totals on this game. We'll go over both of them here. Atlanta Falcons, 23.5 minus 135. So obviously 24 gets that done. But if we're looking for a more truer number per se, 24.5 minus 105. If we look at the Miami Dolphins here, 23.5 at minus 105. 22.5 at 130, 21.5 at 140, 20.5 at 165. Probably don't recommend going down that far, but I don't mind spending money. But the 23.5 is the key number. I can even see going to 22.5 and say, hey, Donnie, I can afford 3 touchdowns and a field goal and a missed extra point. I get that. It's only 130. So let's just call it the Miami Dolphins here, 22.5. Now, why do we like the Miami Dolphins, Donnie? Just got smoked. Just got smoked by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Are you insane? Like, are you absolutely insane right now, right? Not so fast. Because take a look at what we're dealing with here. Now, I didn't get the best practice reports that I really wanted today, to be honest. But looking to go all week here at the Miami Dolphins, nobody on the injury report was sitting out of practice. At least everybody got in limited practices multiple times this week. And why is that key? Now, if you want to take the Miami Dolphins to win this game, or if you want to take the Miami Dolphins to cover a team total, you might want to wait till Sunday. And here's the reason why. Because if you're looking from a Dolphins perspective in this game, right, going up against the Atlanta Falcons, also keep in mind the Atlanta Falcons, Dante Fowler on IR now. So your best pass rusher is down, which only helps the Miami Dolphins, particularly on offense. But Xavier Howard, cornerback, questionable with a shoulder injury. Let's say he doesn't play. And then you double down again with Byron Jones, the other cornerback, Achilles. Limited practices all week. Let's just say they don't play. There's 2 things. There's 2 edges to this sword here. One is if they don't play, you probably don't like the Miami Dolphins as much here to be a live dog in this situation. But number 2, if those 2 cornerbacks are down, it probably helps Miami on the team total on offense. Donnie, why does that make sense? They're not offensive players here. Keep in mind, you like to get running mates. So if the Atlanta Falcons are scoring, what does Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins have to do? Correct. They have to score. But the key ingredients here for Miami is Tua Tagovailoa's got a clean bill of health. He looked good last week, throwing for over 300 yards. Didn't know how we'd come back, maybe being rusty, playing over in London, but I thought he fared pretty well. And I think he'll do the same in this game versus the Atlanta Falcons. But taking a look at the wide receiver position and why we always wait a lot of times till Sunday or Saturday, once you get the information, the Adam Schefters report, hey, look, these guys look like they're going to go play on Sunday. Then you can make an educated decision and possibly make a play that makes sense. If we take a look, Preston Williams, the wide receiver, questionable with a groin injury. If he plays, that's extra speed out there. Let's also take a look at Devontae Parker, who missed last week also. Limited in practice all week, shoulder injury. If he plays, that is a big boon to their offense. If both of those guys get to the starting gate, Miami's going to be able to score points. Atlanta's not a great defense by any stretch here. Now, there is some thunderstorms in the forecast that you want to keep an eye on, but isn't that typical for Miami? Each and every week, every day, just about trying to watch out for some thunderstorms. But if you get some good news here, either later tonight, which I know we already saw the practice reports, or Saturday or early Sunday, that might be a team total that we're looking to play here with the Miami Dolphins. I think it's sneaky. A lot of people would just throw it out the door and say, hey, I don't want to get involved in this game. I don't think it's right. Remember last week we were talking about the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers? I say, hey, man, look at this number. 16.5 on the Seattle Seahawks. If Chris Carson would have played in that game, I would have bet that game. We would have won. Why? They got the 20 points in that game. But most people say, hey, Donnie, Geno Smith. We ain't betting Geno Smith. Trust me, those lines are there for a reason. That's why it's lower. That's why if Russell Wilson was playing, it'd be 23.5 and not 16.5 or whatever it was. You got to take value when you think it's presented with a way that you can try to get after the football game and make sense to it. Same thing with the Miami Dolphins here. Most people see lost to Jacksonville Jaguars. You know what I see? Value. Who's going to want to take I'm not taking the Dolphins to try to trade to it. Teams are looking forward to next year. Not so fast on that. They don't even have to win the game. I'm just asking them to get to that 22, 23, 24, 25 type marker in this one, right? That's what we always do. But that's one to keep an eye on. All right, let's take a look at Kansas City and Tennessee here. Mahomes and Tannehill, 57.5 is a total in this game. Looks like A.J. Brown at wide receiver is going to play after his Chipotle messes over the past week. Said he's feeling better. Julio Jones actually says, guys, he's feeling better, which is crazy. So if you have your two top wide receivers, that helps. You have your offensive line that can block that wretched Kansas City defense. That helps. You have Patrick Mahomes on the other side, who knows going to have to return fire to whatever Tennessee does. That helps. But at the same time, what are we actually getting in this game? And instead of going back and forth, let's take a look at Bet365. Like Kansas City Chiefs, 31.5 minus 115, which means for, a little bit of a buy down, you could probably get that at 30 points, but it's still 30, right? Still 30 points. Tennessee, 25.5. Let's see what it would cost to get around that 24 price range here. Let's go to BetMGM and take a look here to see. Because if you're looking from a Kansas City perspective, should they be able to score? Yes, they're favored by 4 points, 4.5 points. It was as high as 5.5. But let's take a look here and see what some of these prices would be to try to get that total round. Because if we're looking from Kansas City, they're probably going to get to 30. So why aren't we looking in that direction? I always look at the team that's a home team, a team that's playing up against a really bad defense, that Ryan Tannehill is going to get some weapons back at wide receiver. It makes a little bit more sense. And of course, it's a cheaper price. So if you would like to get 29.5 for the Kansas City Chiefs at minus 150 to keep it under 30, you see that doesn't entice me that much, right? We're looking for bargain prices, 17.5, 18.5, 23.5, stuff in that range. I've taken 25.5, 24.5 if I thought it makes sense. Last week, case in point, with the Indianapolis Colts who cashed in their ticket. Didn't matter what time you had it at, 24, 24.5, 25. Doesn't matter. They cashed in that ticket, late in the fourth quarter with a touchdown run. But let's look at the Tennessee Titans in this one. 22.5 minus 225, too expensive. 23.5 minus 185, too expensive. 24.5 minus 140, 25.5 minus 135, 26.5 minus 115. So you're primarily looking also here at a 30-point number. Which again, it's 57.5 as the team total, right? 57.5. I don't know. Do you think they can get there? Yeah, I do. But at the same time, when you're trying to eyeball like a team total, what makes sense? I like to stick to those, 24 or less or in that range, unless they're just playing a really bad football team. You just smash them, and late in the game, the other team's going for fourth downs. You're picking up easy yardage because the other team doesn't care, and you're in field goal range and turnovers. Mahomes and Kansas City is turning the football over a lot, but nothing sticking out to me that says, boy, I really have to get down in this game, even though this game might be the highest scoring game of the week. Why? It's 57.5. Two good quarterbacks, two really good offenses, two questionable defenses out here. So something to keep an eye on, but that game doesn't really have my eye. Next game has mine. Here's what we're going to break down. 461, 462, the Jets and the New England Patriots. Zach Wilson off a bye. He was terrible against the Patriots in the first game around, wasn't he? Absolutely terrible. But he's going to be a better quarterback in this game second time around, off a bye, seen it. Hey, Bill Belichick's probably going to put some new wrinkles on. I get that. Line is -7 across the board here for New England. Over under in this game, 43.5, 43, 42.5, depending on where you're shopping at. And it sounds about right. But I have a feeling this game is going to get a little bit more points than the odds makers expect at that 42.5 range. Why? The New York Jets, last time they played, they're so banged up. Now you're going to have a healthy wide receiver core and a quarterback that's coming off a bye that's going to be extra prepared on the road. Decent Foxborough this weekend. But the side I want to look at is the New England Patriots and why I think there's value here on that team total of 23.5, -150 at BetMGM. Most people won't be looking to the New England Patriots here. No, I'm not taking the Patriots. It's not an electric football team. What do you see in them here? Well, here's what I see in them. Last two games versus Houston, scored 25 points. Versus Dallas, 29 points. That shows a quarterback coming into his own like Mac Jones. Also keep in mind with Mac Jones, 245 yards passing per game. And how about this? A 71% completion rate. Now, what did you not like about the Patriots the last 2 weeks? They moved the football. They looked all right. Even when they went to Houston, they were down 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen and a banged-up running back. So now when you take a look this week coming into the game, Damian Harris, healthy, not even on the report for injury. When you take a look at their offensive line, they should have all 5 starters back in the lineup for this game up in Foxborough. All their wide receivers are healthy. Tight end should be good to go as well. So this is one of those points where you saw them struggle but still put up in the 20s. This is going to be the healthiest they are going to be coming in this game against a bad Jets defense. And what did you like in the first game? If, let's just say, Zach Wilson is a young quarterback with a live arm. There's a lot of boom or bust out there. That means big plays on his part and big mistakes on his part. I think the New England Patriots will be able to move the football and do whatever they want against this Jets defense. Marcus May looks like he's going to come back for this game for the New York Jets, which is fine. But also CJ Mosley looks like he is going to miss this game with a hamstring injury. But if I'm looking from a perspective of a team that I like, 2 good tight ends, decent wide receivers, young quarterback in his maturation process, dominant running game, and a very good offensive line, I'm going to take my chances here with the New England Patriots. It's the first and only game so far that I fired on as a team total. I think the Patriots, they don't need to do much. It's not, you don't have to get to the 30-point marker. 24-13 win by the Patriots. Cash in that ticket, man. Cash in that ticket, man. Yeah, thanks, guys, for coming in and check out the show. Appreciate it. I just like talking football. And I know I haven't had a chance to reach out to the people and, relax, but it's fun. Because I haven't done my own channel in so long. So I was like, all right, how do I make the thumbnails again? How do I get the broadcast going and the hashtags and, make sure people are watching and do all that stuff? So you guys will watch this probably over the weekend. Some people on a Friday night can't get to it here. But I got a couple more minutes here. I don't have to be on the radio for another half hour or so. So we'll blast through this card and then pick out some things. But again, my favorite play so far of the week, New England Patriots team total. Even if you can't get at those prices, let's go to Bet365. What do we got here in this game? I said 25.5. They should get there, man. They should get there. And if they don't, they're going to be hovering around that number late. And if the New England Patriots score 14 points, win 14-10, so be it here. But just the way this game breaks down for me, I see a little bit more aggression on Bill Belichick's part. Should be able to put some wrinkles in that frustrate the young quarterback in the New York Jets, Zach Wilson. Will they move the football? I want them to move the football. I would love if they scored. But I would love if he threw 3 or 4 turnovers, 3 or 4 interceptions in this game. Maybe a defensive touchdown. Maybe setting up the Patriots with easy access to score on their own 30-yard line, 25-yard line, inside the red zone. Yes, Akbar, correct. You don't have to outsmart yourself in here. Don't outsmart yourself. Bad team, the New York Jets. Bad defense, the New York Jets. healthier New England Patriots team. I think it makes a lot of sense in this one to do that. So reach out, tell a friend, tap that one. And let's get to the 4 o'clock games here. Detroit and Los Angeles. Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford. Boy, they gave us some clunkers this week, didn't they, in the NFL? I mean, they really did. Total in this game opened up at 50, offshore sits at 51. FanDuel opened up at 49.5, now sits at 50.5. Here's my issue. Anybody watch the Detroit Lions play football? It's bad. It's pretty bad. And the worst part about it is you have a non-explosive offense with a non-explosive quarterback. But in the NFL, and I always like to say, my dad would tell me this, 16.5. That's way too many points in the NFL. No, it's not. Trust me, no, it's not. You have a team like the Rams who sleptwalk and beat the tar out of the Giants last week in the Meadowlands. They were down. I don't think the Rams even scored in the first quarter last week, and I believe they were down 3-0 heading into the second quarter and torched that football team. Like, what are we getting out of Detroit on offense that you would like and say, you know what? I think they can hang around in this game. What are we asking them to do? The quarterback doesn't like to push the football down the field. You have nothing explosive at wide receiver. Hockenson battling a knee injury. DeAndre Swift battling his groin injury. You have a really good defense in the Rams at home, a really good quarterback in Matthew Stafford. I'm not putting a lot of respect thing in this too. Like the revenge game for Matthew. Come on, man. He's worried about what Detroit's doing. The game isn't in Detroit. It's in L.A. They should beat this team up and down the field. I would not be surprised they easily covered that 16.5. 15.5, that's a tough number to get to because you might have another one of those games. How about this? 38-11. Sound familiar? Yeah, stays under the total because Detroit can't score and it's a bad football team. The one thing I do like about Detroit, though, even if they are getting shut out, beaten, broken, or battered, they still try in the last couple minutes of the game to try to make it look better. I guess it's Jared Goff saying, look, I don't want to be out of this football league. Let me at least show a heartbeat out here at this time. The 4 o'clock games give everyone that window for play. Exactly. See that, Ruffy? It's a good comment. Guys going out with their family, girlfriends, wives, kids, pumpkin patch. But then again, I'm an Eagles fan, so next game we're going to talk about the pumpkin patch, right? Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, Philadelphia, and Las Vegas. I have to tell you in this game, DraftKings showing a 2.5 minus 115. -3s offshore Pinnacle plus 106. But let's just call it a 3-point line here. I got to tell you, I'm not all that excited about taking the Philadelphia Eagles in this game. Now, good things happen here, right? Lane Johnson comes back as your right tackle. Can't hurt. Dallas Goedert comes back as your best tight end. Can't hurt. Jalen Hurts hasn't been that good the past 2 weeks. And I do take a look at that Vegas defense because most of the times, again, when we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals defense, Pro Football Focus has them 6th overall. How about the Las Vegas Raiders? Yeah, number 3 overall with a nasty pass rush. Now, how do you get around a nasty pass rush? Have a quarterback that it's mobile on his feet. Jalen Hurts can do that. How about a nice running back in Miles Sanders? But they don't use him. Going on the road in a dome. There'll be a lot of Eagles fans there, no doubt about it. But you're telling me that Jalen Hurts is going to have to pull this one out by himself with a young, inexperienced wide receiving core. I just trust Derek Carr more than I do Jalen Hurts. I trust the overall weapons on the Raiders more than I do the Philadelphia Eagles. Defenses probably will have a one-off against each other, but let's take a look also at the total in this game. It's 48.5. You know, usually the profile of the Philadelphia Eagles when they're going up against teams that will allow them to score, a la the Kansas City Chiefs, they look okay on offense. But there's been way too many games. Last week, the week before against Carolina, I have no idea how the Eagles beat the Carolina Panthers. They were bad on offense the past 2 weeks. You do have them coming off the mini bye, so you're getting a little bit healthier here. Extra time to prepare. That makes a lot of sense. But on the road last week, the Las Vegas Raiders played very good against the Denver Broncos. Broncos looked like they stink, but still, going into Mile High without your football coach, you showed a competence on your offense and defense, and you won that game by double digits. I just think the Raiders are a little bit a better team. I know Adam says Eagles plus the points. Boy, I'm going to be cheering on that, no doubt about it, Adam. Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't really know if I want to get down either way on this game. Because if you're taking a look, let me go to Bet365. The only reason why I'm bringing it up because it's a lot easier to read. You don't have to skip by page by page by page. Team total in this game, the Philadelphia Eagles, 22.5 at -120, which, let's go down to Bet365, and let's take a look at some of these alt lines that we might be able to get in this game. Let's see what we have here. Let's go to NFL. I always love how long it takes me to surf around some of these books to get the numbers I want. So they got a +3 at -115 here for the Eagles. Totals in this football game. Okay. 19.5 -225. 20.5 -165. 21.5 minus 145, 22.5 minus 135. But that means you're probably going to ask them to get to 24 points, 23.5 minus 110. It's a dome. So sometimes you take those conditions like, I don't know if I don't want to miss the extra point. I get that. But when you're in a dome, kickers should be making extra points at a 90+% clip. So 23.5 minus 110 isn't bad. But again, I'm not really looking towards that direction. Take a look at the Raiders on the opposite side, right? 26.5 minus 105, 25.5 minus 115. I don't know. Like, I don't see a shootout in this game, do we? I don't know if they do, Ruffy Chew. I'm not a big parlay guy, so I haven't tried to push those through yet. But overall in this game, I'll be watching, cheering on, as you can see in the background here, my Philadelphia Eagles fandom. But I don't have a great read on this game either way. If you asked me today to take a side, it would be the Vegas Raiders. At home, -3. Better overall football team to me. Eagles can surprise. They can play well, but they haven't played well the past 2 weeks. So you can't just snap your fingers and say, hey, Jalen Reagor's going to finally be a wide receiver. Devontae Smith's going to show up for 100 yards receiving. Dallas Goedert, fresh off COVID, is going to catch 6 balls for 70 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders is actually going to get the football here. Let's see if it happens. Chicago, Tampa Bay. How about this one, right? Opened up 13 offshore, right around 11.5 now. FanDuel opened up at 10. That's at 11.5. So primarily 11.5 across the board into 47. This game also, let me take a look at some weather conditions in this one here. 87 degrees at kickoff, under 10-mile-an-hour wind. So, hot day. But what do we like about these? Antonio Brown's not going to play in this game. Rob Gronkowski either. But you still have those embarrassment of riches, as we like to say, right? One side Godwin, the other side Mike Evans, quarterback Tom Brady, very good offensive line. So it shouldn't matter all that much. The thing is if you're looking at a total in this game, what are you getting out of Chicago? Now, I know we like to say, oh, look at the secondary. You could throw all over the secondary here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not so fast overall in that. So I'm just going to bring up some statistics that we have, specifically even against last week where the Philadelphia Eagles played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All right, let's take a look at some of the Bucs statistics. You can throw all over that team. You can do damage. I don't know. Miami got beat 45-17, so they were throwing most of the second half, right? They only threw for 262 yards in that game. How about the Eagles? They held the Eagles to 213 combined yards, which was only 113 yards through the air. So what I'm trying to say is if you have an elite offense that can attack that secondary, it can work. Are you trying to tell me right now the Chicago Bears have anything close to an elite offense with Justin Fields back there? Allen Robinson, he can't catch a break no matter where he goes. His quarterback stinks every year, banged up with an ankle injury. This game plays to the under for me, and it really does. I think Tampa Bay wins this football game. Don't get me wrong. I think Chicago's defense is decent, and no Antonio Brown, no Rob Gronkowski. It's hurts them. It doesn't help having those two good football players out. But I just look from an offensive perspective. What does Chicago bring to the table? Just about nothing. And that's the way we'll leave it on that. Houston and Arizona, another ridiculous game. 18's out there, and I agree with it. I agree. It sounds like a lot of points. Did you watch Houston last week? Have you watched Houston for this season? It's not about scoring points. It's not about getting first downs. It's about being able to snap the football, complete a pass, and be able to hand the football off. That's it. They stink. I think they're going to get blown out in this football game, and it's another one of those, if I think Arizona's going to blow them out, you would go to the over, right? 47.5? No. Doesn't this game scream like 34-10? It screams that type. Like, what are we getting out of Houston's offense? Basically nothing here. Night game, weather alert, Indianapolis, San Francisco. Rain, windy conditions, under, stone cold under for me. Opened up 44.5, 47.5 actually at the FanDuel Sportsbook. That's not 42.5. Stone cold under. Stone cold under. No doubt about it. Carson Wentz down 2 wide receivers. I don't think T.Y. Hilton's going to play in this game. And particularly if you have an injury to a leg or a soft tissue, like his quad, you're going to want to let him play on grass in rain? Probably not. Saw a couple guys go out last week. Obviously, we watched T.Y. Hilton go out himself last week. Paris Campbell, big-time touchdown throw by Carson Wentz. Yeah, he's out this week too. Probably IR, going to miss the season. Ground and pound both sides. That's a stone cold under. All right. Let's have some fun today with some of these prop bets here for the next couple minutes. Again, Patriots team total over 23.5, -150. Signed, sealed, and delivered. We got that one in the door here. Follow me on Twitter at RightSideVP throughout the weekend. If anything pops up, we'll get after it. Also, if you're watching this now, if you're watching on replay, you haven't subscribed to the channel, push the subscribe button, turn the notification on, because now that we don't have a show on Sportsbook Review, I'll probably go live maybe on Thursdays and Fridays every week to give us a little powwow to see where we stand at the end of the week and what's going on. So do that. We'll have some fun with that. All right, let's take a look here. FanDuel Sportsbook, weekly specials that we have these under. Sensational stuff, like just a couple real quick. Any Sunday game to go into overtime, minus 120. Patrick Mahomes to complete a 50-yard pass, minus or plus 150. There's a lot of those fun ones in here, but I want to get down to some of the more fun prop bets that you can have. And maybe we'll spend some time even more on the Sunday SBR show going over some of these highest scoring teams of the week and lower scoring teams of the week. But check out these, because there's a separate section. Go to NFL Weekly Specials, slide it down, and you go all the way down the list, and they're called Red Zone Specials. They are sensational. It should be the Twitch channel name, I think, is Sports Betting with Donnie is what it is. See, look at this. Like, I even have like T-shirts that I don't use, Like, I got so much nonsense around my house. Just I make stuff up. So it's kind of funny, man. Yeah, they're trying to work that out, TD Corral. Hopefully we'll get some better answers over the next, week or two at this point. But take a look at some of these red zone specials I like. Packers, Ravens, and Patriots, each to score 3 touchdowns. That's at a plus 270. So the Packers score 3 touchdowns against the football team. The Ravens score 3 touchdowns against Cincinnati. And the Patriots score 3 touchdowns or more for all those against the New York Jets. That's a 270 payout. All right, keep going. Each team in the 1 o'clock games to kick a field goal. Now, I didn't write down this price. I'm trying to scan quickly here on what this might be. There we go. That's touchdown here. Where's the field goal one? Let's see. Let me keep sliding it down. 1 plus passing touchdown, 1 passing touchdown, 35 points. Is it lower than that? Where would that be at? I don't think they took it down, but I don't see now the. Oh, here we go. How about, look at this. Each team in the 1 o'clock hour, and keep in mind, we don't have a normal flooded 1 o'clock hour like we typically do with all these bye weeks. Each team to kick 1 field goal at the 1 o'clock games, that's a 6-1 price here. 6-1. How about this one? The entire day, 1 o'clock games, 4 o'clocks, 425s. And it doesn't include the night game and Sunday Night Football. Each team to kick a field goal, 27-1. $100 bet pays $2,700 back if every team kicks 1 field goal or more. How about this one? Each team to score 1 rushing touchdown during the 1 o'clock games. So all of those, 90-1. 90-1 for every team in the 1 o'clock hour to have a rushing touchdown. Insanity. 425 games here. Stafford, Brady, Carr, and Murray, each to throw for 250 yards or more. That's at plus 210. So Stafford going against a terrible defense in Detroit. Tom Brady going up against the Bears. Brady throws for 250 in his sleep. Derek Carr against the Eagles. Kyler Murray against the trash Houston Texans. Each of those guys to throw for 250, that's at plus 210. Now, here's a little bit of a smaller scale on these ones. I know, TD, me too. I love field goal props. Each team to kick 1 field goal in the 4 o'clock hour, which is 4 o'clock and 425. That's plus 310. That's plus 310. Each team to get not even a touchdown, a field goal. Detroit, Rams, Philadelphia, Vegas, Chicago, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Houston. Here's what matters also, guys, right? Detroit lost, and the Rams, dome. Philadelphia, Las Vegas, dome. Tampa Bay, 85 degrees and sunny. It's supposed to be on Sunday. Houston, Arizona, dome. So you're not getting any windy conditions out here. It's certainly a fun prop to try to take a look at. Next one, any four of these players, there's 5 of them, to score a touchdown this weekend. Fournette, Woods, Godwin, Damian Williams, and Hunter Renfrow. So any 4 of those, they give you 5. So you need 4 of those 5 to score 1 touchdown or more. Pretty good players to do that. That's at $850. $100 bet returns $850. The next one, how about this one? Wide receiver prop. Cooper Kupp, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Smith, and Robert Woods. All number 1 wide receiver caliber. If they each get 75 yards or more in their games, that's 11-1 payout on that here. 11-1. And how about this one? You like this one? The 4 o'clock and 425 games, which again, let's bring them back up here. Detroit, or the Lions and the Rams, the Eagles and the Raiders, the Bears and the Bucks. And the tough one is Houston, right? Houston's always going to be the tough one here. The Texans and the Cardinals. Each team to score a rushing touchdown at 4 o'clock. That's 25-1. 25-1. Like, come on, Davis Mills. Quarterback, sneak one in if you get the chance. Roll out of the pocket. Hand the football off to Mark Ingram, who's a decent running back. That's an amazing price there at that point. But those are a lot of fun ones. Now, I got a couple minutes here. I got to get logged into my radio show. So it's nice coming in here with a little powwow, talking some NFL football, having some fun on a Friday. Yeah, you got it. It's, let me see if so we're on FanDuel right now. It's up top. Like, you see where it's like, if you go to the NFL, you click on the NFL tab where it says popular. And up top, you'll see games, weekly specials, Super Bowl, conference division winner. Click on the weekly specials and just slide it all the way down because there's a ton of weekly specials. You can get lost down the rabbit hole. They're sensational bets. Down the bottom come the big boy bets there, and they call those the red zone specials. So that's where they find them out there for us. But thanks for tuning in today, and hopefully it was as much fun as it was for me, and maybe we'll do it again next Thursday and Friday. Maybe do it for the rest of the football season if you guys like it, you enjoy it. Hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you guys want to do. Certainly appreciate that, but thanks for coming in and checking the things out and having some fun and talking. But that'll do it today for the show. Week 7 NFL action. Keep in mind also, though, follow me on Twitter at RightSideVP. Anything pops up when we play, when I'm go ahead on a team total, you'll get it just the same. This the minutes after I bet it here. Exactly where I'm betting it, what the price is. And also tune in on Sunday on SBR. I believe it's only through Twitter. So I don't know if you guys will be able to yell at me in the chat box and do all that stuff here. But I'm going to go over to the radio side, have some fun. Watch a little Major League Baseball, watch some college football, some NBA, have some fun with my guy, Kevin Walsh, and certainly get after. But thanks again, guys, for watching the show. Catch you later.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Betting with Donnie, presented by RightWager.com.